Best of all, those who get to the very top of Bellesguard are rewarded by a once-in-a-lifetime experience, the chance to see, up close, an actual dragon. Buenos días, buenas tardes, y buenas noches, y bienvenidos to the Hispanophiles podcast. I almost said podcast, that's the word we're looking for. Travel in Spain with only half a brain. This is the only podcast that does not put chorizo in its paella. On this episode, we will be exploring Bellesguard, the coolest Gaudi building that you have never heard of. But first, we're going to say hello to the wonderful woman to my left. It's your host of the day, Mystique. How are you?
Woo! I'm good, thank you. Long time no see.
It's been a little bit. It's been a little while.
That's
but,
what the dry fish said to the other dry fish.
Long time no see.
Okay. Nordic joke right there.
Please give us a like for that.
Yep.
But they do say absence makes the heart grow fonder. So I'm even happier now to be sat here.
Thank you.
Once again with you.
I feel the same.
Okay, shall we do features?
Word of the day.
Word of the day. What you got for us?
Yeah, but it's not a word today. Today it's an expression. Mm-hmm. I heard this expression from a coworker some weeks ago. I don't remember why. It's a funny one. I wonder if you heard it. Are you ready?
I'm listening.
Tener una flor en el culo.
Okay, and I have not heard of that idiom.
No?
No, I've not,
okay.
no.
Very good.
I'm looking forward to learning.
So in English, it means to have a flower in your ass.
Righto.
Yeah. This expression means to be a very lucky person. But not just once, like every time in life in general, you know, that you have a flower in your ass.
Okay, so people who are blessed with good fortune. People who...
But luck, not... Yeah, I guess that's the same.
Yeah.
For good fortune and luck.
Having a pansy in your fanny. A flower in your ass.
Fanny?
So in the USA, they refer to the posterior, the bottom, as the fanny.
Oh.
Which is amusing to us British, because for us the fanny is the...
Vagina.
That's the one. The female...
Labia.
Piece, yes. We don't understand how the Americans took our word and described something entirely different to what its intended use was, but there we go. That's what the Americans have done with our language. So when I said pansy in your fanny, it was just me picking two words that kind of rhymed to hopefully find something funny in what you said, but it wasn't funny at all what I said, so that was a complete failure.
But you call it fanny pack, which is it's a ass pack. It's more. It's not a. I mean, it goes over.
So
in
again,
the front.
a Brit would not call it a fanny pack. We call them bum bags.
Who calls it a fanny pack then?
Fanny pack. That's what the Americans say. Correct.
Oh.
A pack for your fanny.
I thought it was British fanny pack.
A few episodes in, you still haven't mastered your British accent, but I commend you for trying.
Yeah, every time.
For the dedication and commitment. You are truly a warrior.
Yep.
Mystique.
Yep.
Okay. Tener una flor en el culo. That's what you said, no?
Yeah.
I loved
Tener una flor en el culo.
I'm going to be using it tomorrow when
Yes.
speaking to my colleagues.
Yep.
Shake my hand. You couldn't hear that, listeners, but that was a very firm handshake.
Yeah. Soft and gentle.
Soft and gentle. Just like the flower in my... Thank you very much for an excellent first segment.
Yep.
And now we move on to Spanish news. Piece of Spanish news I can think of is Formula One related. From 2026 onwards, going to be held in Madrid. They are taking a part street circuit and redeveloping some areas around it to provide a full-time racing facility, but the Spanish Grand Prix is going to be held in the centre of the country in Madrid and not Montmeló anymore.
Oh.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, not that I would go. And if it was cheaper, maybe we can go to horse race also, like wear big hats and stuff. Could be fun.
It could be fun if you can find one. We'll do an episode on it.
Nothing here?
Shall we move on to the main topic?
Yes.
Yes. Hidden in the residential hillside of Barcelona's Sant Gervasi neighbourhood is a house of royal origin whose intriguing history is outdone only by its striking, eccentric appearance. Much of the standout attractions in the city can be attributed to the inquisitive mind of one Antoni Gaudí, one of the most celebrated Catalonians of all time, who saved a special piece of magic for what turns out to be his least known and most underappreciated work. The details and features that adorn the walls, windows, walkways of Torre Bellesguard contain many Easter eggs and spoilers that allow the visitor, the keen-eyed visitor, not only to learn all about the house's history, but also to get inside the mind of Gaudi himself. But best of all, those who get to the very top of Bellesguard are rewarded by a once-in-a-lifetime experience, the chance to see, up close, an actual dragon.
No.
Ooh.
A real one?
A real dragon, yes.
Wow.
We're going to get there right at the end. We're going to explain the history of the dragon.
I knew it was Lord of the Rings.
Exactly. You got it right.
Stuff here, yeah.
A little bit of Harry Potter in there as well, perhaps.
Yep.
Because there is an English link which we're going to enjoy as well. Does that sound good as a place to visit, Mystique?
Yes.
We ready to go?
I want to go there.
Okay. So we'll start with the basic history of Bellesguard. The Bellesguard Research Group claims that on this site there has been some sort of building or edifice for about 2,000 years. Effectively, something has been at this location for 2 millennia now. But the real story of the Bellesguard, as we know it today, begins with a medieval castle, some of which the ruins can still be seen on site today. We've got part of an aqueduct and several walls around it. The castle was built by a king called Martin I, also known as Martin the Humane.
Maybe he killed people in a humane way.
Doing it quickly.
Yes.
He did engage in war, and, so that is very possible. He was the king of Aragon and also ruled over Valencia, Mallorca, Sardinia, and Sicilia. And he was the Count of Barcelona, so he was the head of the House of Barcelona, one of the royal houses at the time. He lived from the mid-14th century, so the 1353, I think he was born. I will check that and put a comment if I've got that wrong, and died in 1410, which we'll get to. So he died in his early 50s. But in the early 1400s, he was in poor health. He had problems with his lungs. What that illness was, I could not find a definitive answer. If in doubt, problems with lungs, you think historically probably tuberculosis, but I think it sounds like it dragged on longer than I think tuberculosis likes to hang on to its victims for. So what the problem was, I'm not entirely sure, but he needed a place with relatively clean air and relatively clean water.
And he was 50 is a bit older than
yeah, he lived to a good age for the time, you know. Not forgetting, before the Industrial Revolution, life expectancy for Europe was probably about 32 or something. So getting to 53
good.
For anybody is very, very good.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, he was in poor health. Now, the Bellesguard site, the word Bellesguard literally means beautiful view in Catalan. This location, high into the hillside of Barcelona, before the mountains realistically begin. So from this place, you've got a great view of the valleys, you've got a great view of the sea as well, so you can see ships coming and going, so you can see people coming over the hillside as well. And you have excellent water and clean air here too. So this was the site known for a long time. As we said, there's been a building here for 2,000 years, at the time 1,500 years. And this is where Martin the Humane, wanted to build a place for him to live. So what they did to find the very best place to build this new residential palace for Martin and his family, they found a goat, which they sacrificed and cut into 4 pieces.
Yum.
They didn't eat it, they didn't barbecue it, they didn't put it in a gyros kebab. They flung the different bits of meat in 4 different places nearby, and the one that rotted the last was deemed to be the location that had the cleanest water and air, i.e. the place most free of bacteria and other harmful microbes.
Is this a smart... Could we do that today? Use that technique to find the best...
Animal cruelty challenge... animal cruelty welfare...
I mean...
organisations might have something to say about that.
I mean, yeah.
You can, Mystique. I'm not going to participate.
I can do it.
But maybe we take goat's cheese and we put that in 4 places, and the last one to be edible, that's where you can build a house.
Yeah, but I'm wondering if it's scientifically proven that this could tell how well the nutritious grass and green air and water.
Remember when we said that people nowadays, the life expectancy, I think in Spain is 82, compared to in the 1750s it was like 32. That's because we have better medicine and better technology mostly. So I think we have better ways nowadays to work out if one particular location is a healthy place to build a house. But I appreciate your enthusiasm for this, but we may have better alternatives.
Yeah,
I don't mean to crush dreams. I don't mean to be that horrible tyrant. You know, you do you, babe.
I like old ways, the old ways, you know.
Well, I was going to say, I like older men. You like old ways. Traditions, yes.
Yeah, I used to do that as well. But
some traditions, let's maybe leave that one in the past, I think. But yeah, so that's how he found the location to build Bellesguard, and he got busy building his castle. He wanted a fortified safe house, and this became his official royal residence. But Martin's health declined further. Did this prolong his life? Quite possibly, but he continued to be sick. But he died in 1410 at the age of 53 without an heir. So the possession of his house moved on to Margaret of Prades, who was his wife. But she died not long after. And
why
then
did they not have children?
Martin the Humane's son was Martin the Younger, imaginatively named. He was the king of Sicily at the time, and I think in 1408 he was away in Sardinia fighting the Genoese army. However, on the way back in 1409 he died at sea, Martin the Younger.
So he did have, they did have one.
But he was the last person of the House of Barcelona, so that royal house also died with him, and there was thereafter an interregnum inside the Kingdom of Aragon, meaning there was nobody to occupy the throne. The house itself, Bellesguard, it fell into the ownership of his wife, as we said, Margaret of Prades, but she died shortly afterward. In 1900, the year 1900, Jaume Figueres bought the house, and his mother was the one who introduced it to Antoni Gaudí. And from 1990 until 1909, our favourite Catalonian architect began work on Bellesguard House, which is what we now see today. So this is a good time to stop and ask you, Mystique, what do you know of Antoni Gaudí?
He makes, I would say, a bit like a surrealistic design. He made everything, what is the word? Not environmental. The other word, like to make it sustainable? I don't remember.
Yes, so what you're referring to is part of the philosophy here of his design work as an architect was to build houses that could stand up without any internal support. That's what he tried to do. So the idea being it was a house that didn't need columns inside it or anything
maybe
to be able to support itself.
Also something about the air intake, I remember, like the air would come through to make it more cool inside. I don't know, this is just a little detail. Yeah. Didn't he live in the Batio with his family for a while? In the middle of the city center not Eixample, is it Eixample, that area? In the middle
You are right, he was a Barcelona boy. He lived here, I believe, most of his life.
Yeah, Passage de Gracia.
I don't know if he lived on the specific street. We can look at that detail, but he was a Barcelona boy.
Casa is there.
Yeah, correct, yes.
But, yeah.
As is another famous piece of his, which is opposite.
Mila.
Very good.
Yeah.
What's the full name?
Casa Mila.
Correct.
And there's also a very cool one called Casa Vicens. Have you been there?
I'm not familiar with that one.
Really?
I need to...
Amazing. I would say...
Field trip!
I would say it's my favorite one. My friend recommended it to me. It's amazing. It's like you can rent it, actually. Cost a lot of money, obviously, but they rent it out. It's in Gracia, and it's very, very beautiful. A bit less tourists there as well.
We'll do that for our 100th episode.
Yeah.
We'll rent it out and record there.
Also, Gaudi, Palau de Gaudi. I think I'm going to go there on Sunday, actually. It's in La Rambla.
Yes.
You know?
Correct,
right?
yeah. I've not been there, but I know the one as well. The Raval side, I think.
And Sagrada Familia, obviously.
Obviously. Everyone knows. We will do an episode on Sagrada Familia one day.
Gaudi Park.
Yeah. No, fantastic. Yes, born in 1852, Antoni Gaudí was an architect and designer who utilised and applied a very keen interest of the natural world and many disciplines of science in his design work as an architect. So he was a fan of astronomy, of horticulture, of physics, of history, biology. Also a religious man, a Catholic, and you can see many motifs representing biblical stories or famous figures of the church inside his work, which we will explore when we talk about Bellesguard even more and its features.
I think he took drugs.
That doesn't seem to be in keeping with his personality from what I'm aware. We will have a little deep dive. You always find a way to find something I don't know about what I'm trying to talk about. So maybe he took drugs. I wouldn't have thought it likely of his character, even though he lived at the right time at the right place in the 1890s, where there was again, I'm borrowing this knowledge from QI, one of my favourite shows. There was a period called the Great Binge. Do you know what the Great Binge was?
No, I don't remember.
effectively from 1890 to 1914, when the First World War began, it was a period where in most places, in France, in Belgium, in Spain, in these places, heroin was available, a lot of opioids. Cocaine was not only easy to access, but, encouraged as a way to deal with many things. Was ecstasy invented then? I'm not entirely sure. I think it would have been, yes. But it was, and again, the alcohol that people were drinking at that time was, absinthe was hugely popular. The strengths of what people drank was a lot harder as well. She says as she picks up her big old beer in her left hand. So the Great Binge, ladies and gentlemen, a period in Europe to which if I had a time travelling machine, I'd go for a long-ass weekend.
So you can connect this with him, or not? It has nothing to do with him.
That's what I think.
At the same time.
He lived at the right time to be partaking in those things, but he does not strike me as the type of man to have done so.
I'm just seeing some connection through maybe some natural mushroom eating, synthetic LSD taking.
Well,
when you see the
synthetic LSD, I think came a lot later than the 1890s. Okay. I think. But we can research that. Was Gaudi a pothead? Minds. Yes or no?
Anyways.
Sorry?
You can have twisted minds anyway. Not that it's so twisted.
No, not twisted. He's creative. He was inventive.
It's almost a bit childish, like sandcastle church and then mushroom fireplace.
Yes.
All of these dragons here.
Wonderfully inventive.
Salamander thing here. And
unorthodox is maybe the better word than hippie or psychedelic. But we will look into that, I think. Yeah. God knows how much of that we'll use, but I quite enjoyed that. So. A Catalonian native all his life, closely associated with Barcelona where he grew up. He completed his military service, which was obligatory for him at the time, before finishing his degree of architecture in one of the provincial universities of Barcelona in 1878. Fascinated, like I said, with so many domains of science, he really applied this as much as possible whenever he designed anything, and got to work immediately. At the age of 23, I think, he went to France, where he unveiled his first design for whatever building he was tasked to design, and immediately found employment inside Barcelona at the age of 23, 24, building some of the amazing buildings we see today. His style is difficult to categorise. Certainly the older he got, the more, let's say, lurid he got in his designs. But at the beginning he used a lot of Baroque and Gothic motifs in his architectural designs. What else can we say about Gaudi before we proceed? A leading figure in the Catalan Renaissance, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, my Catalan is quite poor, and remains one of the most celebrated Catalonians of all time to this day. I don't think that's unfair to say whatsoever. He died tragically in 1926 in a traffic accident when I think he was struck down by a tram and died quite quickly afterward from his injuries.
Oh. Here in Barcelona?
In Barcelona, yes.
A tram?
Yeah.
God, it's not fair.
Anyway, so let's get back to Bellesguard. You walk into the ground, pay 10, 15 euros, I think, to enter. It's perfectly reasonable.
A little tip there. If you have the Barcelona library card, like I do, you get the ticket for half off or something. So check it out. Do you have the library card?
No, I don't, but I'm going to get one.
Yeah, get one. It's genius. Yeah.
So let's get back to Bellesguard itself. The first thing you'll do is you'll start a clockwise walk around the grounds, taking in some of the older walls, that sort of thing, some of the ruins, part of the aqueduct, as well as the beautiful gardens. There is also a very beautiful bench that features a trencadís, which I'll come to in a second. There are two curved benches built so that when you sit at the very end of one, these things are probably about, let's say, 10 metres, 50 metres, something like that in length from one side to another. But if you sit on one end of these benches and someone sits on the other end, Gaudi designed it so that you can talk at a normal conversation level and you can hear the person because the echo is carried along the back of the bench and curves round.
Did you talk to yourself while you
I
sat
spoke
there?
to my stepfather who sat down and, grumbled at the heat here in Spain, but no. So there are two of these curved benches with trencadís on each one that are very beautiful, around a fountain in the middle that is circular in shape. And again, it said if you were to look from above, it would look like an eye. Again, that's just Gaudi again exploring with the natural form in different ways.
An eye.
No, an eye as in...
an eye.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly, not the letter I. Not one of those. What you see with, yes.
Yeah.
You got it. And a few other nice features you've got towards the northern side of the complex. You have an older building which was I think, previously used as a stable, but also when the house became a maternity ward, which we'll discuss. Yeah, it was at some point, yeah. We'll get to that. That building was used as a dormitory, a place to sleep. But the main house itself is what we're going to be discussing. And if you take a quick Google now, if you have not already, listener, you will see a beautifully tall and very alternative-looking building with one large spire on top. But we will explore the outside first and foremost. The building itself is 15 by 15 metres at its base and 33 metres high from the very bottom to the very top of the tower that you see. 33, Mystique. Given what we've discussed about Gaudi's interest so far, why might 33 be a number that he would integrate into his work symbolically?
3 is the number of fairy tales, and then you have 3 and 3.
Who died at the age of 33?
Oh, himself?
No. A religious figure?
Jesus.
Jesus Christ. Died at the age of 33. It's a small example of the way in which Gaudi would often use his interests and things that were in some way spiritually or academically important to him.
You know what you're giving people now, James? A free audio that they can put in your ears when you go there. I would much rather listen to you than buying that audio. What is it called? Audio thing.
Don't wish to take business away from the people who work there.
I think you just did.
The guide was very, very good, and I was making notes as I was listening to the guide, and that's why, compared to my family, I took so much longer.
I will actually
writing
listen
down
to
notes.
This. Yeah.
Before
I go there.
Okay, then give me time to do the editing.
Yeah.
We've got a few.
Yeah.
I need more than 2 weeks to get through the other ones, but I'll be as quick as I can. I promise you. No, the building itself. Let's take a look at it. Primarily made from brick, slate, and stone, I think. Gaudi painstakingly ordered all of the stones and materials that were used to build it to be separated into the right colour. So, one thing that really stands out from this building compared to many others he built is this one is not as colourful upon close inspection. And the reason being, he wanted to pay tribute to the story of the medieval castle in its construction after he was given permission by Jean Figueres and his family in 1900 to start building it. So rather than going very colourful, or as in the case of Casa Batlló and Parguel, he stuck to a much more monotone look with this, going with a sort of greyish-green brick and slate wherever possible, which you can see straight away on the side of the building. And he was really diligent to make sure all the stones matched as much as possible.
That's nice that he can be a bit versatile and think about what was there before.
But it is one of those buildings that apparently its overall colour will change depending at time of day. One of those buildings. So I only saw that, let's say, early afternoon, so I can't confirm that. This is just what I have read.
So best thing would be when there's a sunset.
It's a beautiful place to visit any time, and this is one of the reasons why I want to discuss it, because I think it's so tragically unknown in Barcelona compared to many other things Gaudi put his name to. But yes, indeed, the actual stones do, in essence, form a trencadís. The idea of different shaped pieces making up an overall pattern, you can still definitely see that when you look at the walls of Bellesguard. However, this was one of the places where there were more straight lines. Gaudi still tried to get away from convention when he built this house. You go to the northern face of the building, all the different windows that you see and straight lines of the plumbing, of some of the balconies that come out, it is not a perfectly well-balanced and symmetrical. You've got a one window, one balcony kind of coming at a strange angle.
Unproportionate?
Yeah, maybe, yeah. I don't know what the word is, but it's definitely unconventional, and it certainly has a very, very striking appearance. Not pretty would be the wrong word, but certainly it is creative. And let's now turn our attention to the door. We've got one wrought iron door. To either side of it, you've got two benches featuring mosaics of dolphins, which we'll get to shortly, and with the letter M on them. But above that, the thing to talk about first is a stained glass window and an 8-pronged star. Now, there are various interpretations as to what this may represent, what Gaudi was trying to allude to in its design. One of them, it is believed it could be Venus, the planet. Now, Venus, of course, was the Roman god of love and fertility, which can be interpreted as Gaudi trying to bless Martin and Margaret, the couple who originally lived in the medieval castle, trying to bless them with fertility. So that's one interpretation. The other is that the 8-pointed star could represent the star of the Count of Barcelona. Apparently, their royal seal had a very similar star on it as well. King Peter II of Aragon, also known as Peter the Catholic, died defending his realm and was an ancestor of Martin I. But upon his death, Martin became the last royal figure in Spanish history to use that 8-pointed star in his royal seal. Gaudi was very interested in astronomy, so of course the idea of it representing Venus is highly plausible, but it could also be the Star of the East that guided the 3 wise men to Bethlehem. So 3 interpretations there.
But he puts a star over Sagrada Familia as well, right? Or maybe it's something that goes...
So now let's look back at this main door. You see it's of wrought iron. Quite imposing, I think, is the way you describe it. It doesn't look like it's welcoming, the actual door itself. Heavy and cold, and apparently it is a reference to the Virgin Mary, who was conceived without sin, as the Catholics believed. And the 3 balconies on the main facade of Bellesguard, on this particular side of the building, are supposed to represent the Holy Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Again, the number 3 being very important in Christian doctrine.
And fairy tales.
And fairy tales as well, and musketeers, let's not forget. Now, you see those benches either side of the main door?
Yeah.
Those contain dolphins, with the crown representing the Kingdom of Aragon and the letter M.
Martin and Margaret.
She's got it. One for him, one for her. Matching dolphins, as every couple deserves. This representing Martin I and Margaret of Paradis's rule over the Mediterranean until the timely death. You walk inside, let's go through the door, and you're coming to an atrium, quite narrow at the bottom, but you see straight away a staircase going up the side, and we've got mostly white marble, so it's very light inside. It doesn't quite have the imposing, strong, medieval look to it that the outside has. It's much more gentle inside. You can see as you walk up the spiral staircase going up the building, alongside the walls, the tiles, white but also with blue features, you can see depictions of St. George, San Jordi in Catalan, and the dragon he supposedly slayed. You can also see the Serenia. Now, Mystique, do you know what La Serenia is?
No.
Any guesses? I'll give you a clue. Independence. What might La Serenia be?
Serenity. I'm not sure. I'll ask, call a friend.
Okay, who are you going to call?
Silvano.
Ghostbusters! La Serenia is the Catalonian...
Sardines!
Catalonian flag.
Oh.
Yeah. The yellow background with the 4 vertical red stripes.
Mm-hmm.
The significance of this, we're going to speak to in the second half of this episode. Also in the middle, you'll see hanging a huge, very heavy iron chandelier. The chandelier, as you can see, contains also a design similar to a crown upside down, symbolising the death of the House of Barcelona that died with Martin I. You see?
Dark. And I like it.
As do I.
Dark.
It's really beautiful, really beautiful.
Dark.
We go upstairs onto 2 of the main floors that you come to. One of them is the smoking room, literally built inside a building in honour of a man who died from a lung illness.
Because Casa Vicens also was a smoking room or cigar room, but for men.
Okay,
and
I didn't know that.
It's a very, very cool room, like amazing ceiling.
Relatively plain, very light this room as well. But the one above it is the music room. Now this one, when you visit, it almost looks like it's incomplete. You can see the brick of the roof and the walls and the columns hasn't been plastered to make it white so that it matches the rest of the inside of the building. The brick has intentionally been left bare. Now, this room was built for music recitals, music performances, and it was believed that bare brick would help with the acoustics inside it. Some people believe this was a bit of a myth, but this is what the guides, the audio guides said during my visit. You'll see another wrought iron chandelier right in the middle of the room, shaped like an upside-down crown, again to represent the fall of the House of Barcelona upon the death of Martin I, Martin the Humane. The music room also contains far fewer windows, and it is much darker. Again, the belief being that the fewer windows would be favourable for the acoustics of people playing music directly inside the room. And then we continue upstairs, up the staircase, and we eventually get to the roof, and we walk out onto the balcony for what I believe is the most awesome part of Bellesguard, and the reason why you, listener, should go visit. Now, we'll start with talking about the actual tower. On the northwestern, I believe, corner of the building, the roof points upward, as we said, to a peak of 33 metres from the base. The tower itself is much more typical in terms of its aesthetic and design of what Gaudi would normally produce. So you can see it pointing up, and you can see the Sardegna going around it, the Catalan flag. You can see the yellow and red stripes. This, during the time of dictatorship under General Franco, was painted grey, because again it was illegal, it was an offence to show the Sardegna, the flag of Catalonia, during his reign. But upon his death in 1975, it was quickly restored to the red and yellow design as wished for by Gaudi himself.
Was there a lot of tourists there?
No, there wasn't. It was remarkably
What day did
quiet.
you go?
It was a Saturday.
Okay, middle of the day.
I think we got there about 1 p.m, I think. So, yeah. So the tower, as you can see, the majority of it continues with the sort of scaly look of the grey-green stones and slate before the Sardegna becomes very visible, and above that is a cross. Now, of course, the first thing we can see when we see this is a reference to the church, but also it is said that this looks like the shape of a cypress tree fruit. Now, in late Renaissance art, the cypress tree was commonly associated with death, but more specifically with the welcome of the soul into the afterlife. So it was very common, I think, in much of Catholic and Christian Europe during the Renaissance period to see cypress trees outside of cemeteries. The idea being you would welcome somebody into the afterlife peacefully by putting a cypress tree nearby. So the reason why Gaudi put a cypress tree on top of the tower, again, was to wish Martin and Margaret of Paradis a safe journey from the mortal life into the next one. That is apparently what it symbolises.
I don't know what a cypress tree looks like, actually.
Like that. The 4 points of the cypress tree here are also said to indicate the 4 nautical points, north, east, south and west. And you can just about see, I don't know if you can make out on this photo, but there is also another crown shape at the bottom of the cypress tree fruit there. Again, to symbolise the location status as a place of royal residence. So that's what is symbolic about the actual tower.
I think it looks like a small angel that you put on top of the Christmas tree.
I do see what you mean, yes.
Yeah, like a hole for the arms, and then, yeah.
Yep.
If you've seen the Beauty and the Beast Christmas edition, you'll know
I
what
haven't
I'm
seen
talking
Beauty and the
about.
Beast Christmas tradition. Would you recommend it?
It's dark
Okay.
and not so Christmassy, but it is as well.
Is that the one with the evil organ?
Yeah.
I have seen it, yes, yeah. That
so
sounded weird, yeah.
It was good when I was young, and then I watched it again this Christmas, and I thought, this is a weird movie, actually.
Doesn't that apply to every single
the
Disney movie you
original.
watch back?
Yeah.
You know,
No,
when-
not the originals.
No, all of them. Like, you watch The Hunchback of Notre Dame,
Oh, my favorite.
but that's one of the ones where you think as an adult, you watch it and you think, this is gross. Like,
He's
like,
so horny that.
yeah.
But
he grabs her and sniffs her hair from the back.
Yeah. And sniffs
Weird,
the
man.
shawl.
Yeah.
But so sexy for a long.
I am not going to comment. We hope you're enjoying this episode. If you are, consider giving a like, writing a comment, following, subscribing, giving us a high rating, all that jazz. You don't have to, but it would help us out with the algorithm in the place where you listen to your podcasts. Thank you very much, and let's get back to the episode. So that is the spike, tower, whatever you want to call it, the steeple. But I said the roof was the most interesting part. If you go, take a few steps back, and you walk to, I think, the southeasterly point of the roof, and look back at the building, you'll see the house sloping upwards to the top vantage point. You can see the greyish-green Trencadís style stones with the cement in between, which almost looks like scaly reptilian skin. You can see the ridge where two of the sloping roofs meet in the middle. That kind of resembles a nose. Two bottom windows jutting out could resemble nostrils, and the two larger ones above could represent eyebrows and eyes pointing out, with the dark inside room representing pupils. And Gaudi designed the roof this way to represent the dragon that St. George slew. Which begs the question, how is that relevant to Gaudi's work and to Torre Bellesguard? And that poses a fantastic segue to discussing the history of Sant Jordi and its relevance to Catalonia and Barcelona. Are you ready for this?
I
think that means yes. I wasn't expecting that. So, St. George, the patron saint of Catalonia, known here as Sant Jordi. Born in 280 AD in the town of Leda, to give it its Greek name, or Lode, to give it its Hebrew name. St. George was a Judean general of the Roman army and also a practicing Christian. And Lode at the time apparently had quite a large Christian population at the time when there weren't that many Christians in the Roman Empire. And he was ordered on behalf of the Emperor Diocletian to lead the slaughter and execution of this Christian population in his hometown, which he protested. He went to speak to Diocletian and said, this is unconscionable, I can't do this, this is not something that you should pursue. Of course, Emperor Diocletian was not pleased with one of his subjects standing up to him, so George was tortured for, it is said, 1 month. Every day he was subjected to physical torture. However, he did not renounce he did not withdraw his objection to the plan, neither did he renounce his Christianity. And after 1 month, he was executed by beheading for disobeying his orders as a general in the Roman army. But his defence of Christianity and his courage displayed in this episode is one of the reasons why he was later canonised by the church and made a saint, and this is where we get St. George from. So inspirational, apparently, was his behaviour in this episode that Alexandra, the wife of Diocletian, apparently, as a consequence, became Christian because she was so impressed by his bravery. So we have this ecclesiastical church figure, St. George, canonised, synonymous with bravery. His symbol, the St. George cross, was what the Christian armies decided to use on their armour and their shields. And that is how the St. George cross has become the symbol or the flag of England, of my country. That's where it came from. Yeah, it's true. But furthermore, it also happens to be on the town seal of Barcelona. If you look at the crest of Barcelona, of the city, and if you go to the town hall, you will see the St. George cross, the English cross, so to speak, on there as well. But I forgot to mention, the day that he died, the day he was beheaded, was the 23rd of April, 303 AD, and that day is now known as St. George's Day. So that begs the question, why is he therefore of importance here in Catalonia? It is said that there was a town that was being preyed upon by a dragon. Now, this dragon every day would go to the townspeople and he would attack their livestock, and the townspeople would have to sacrifice an animal every day to ensure their survival, up until the point there were no livestock left. So then the town effectively had a lottery every day, a draw, in which one name was produced, and that person was the person to go be sacrificed to the dragon. Until one day, the name produced was the king's daughter, the princess. And only at this point, the king stepped up and said, okay, we need somebody to save us from this dragon.
Hunger Games.
Were the Hunger Games around in 290 AD, then it might have been St. George who volunteered, because he was the person that the king sent for. Excuse me. So George shows up with his horse and his sword, called Escalon, which by chance was also the name of Winston Churchill's private aircraft during World War II, Escalon. And George went to go fight the dragon, which he slew. And from the blood of the dying dragon grew a rose, according to legend.
And the book?
We'll get to the book, but he gifted the rose to the princess. And this is where the Catalonians, when they celebrate the Dia de Sant Jordi, it is common to gift the person you like a rose. And this is where the tradition comes from.
When is it?
the 23rd of April, which is St. George's Day. El Día de San Jordi. This is the reason why. And then it is said that George took his hand, covered in blood, and he wiped it down the front of his golden-coloured shield. And the 4 fingers with the blood of the dragon left the mark of 4 straight red lines on a golden background. What might that represent? The Serenia.
Oh,
the Catalan flag.
Interesting.
So this is the origin of the Catalan flag.
Very interesting.
So this is the reason why Catalonia chose St. George as its patron saint and Barcelona too, because it is said that the town where this took place was Montblanc in the province of Tarragona in Catalonia.
I didn't know that, actually. And I have celebrated Sant Jordi. And also, if you're called that name, you'll get discounts and free entrance around the city, like Sagrada Familia and everything. But we are not called that.
Nope.
Unfortunately.
Catalonia made St. George their patron saint in 1456. And since those times, his death day, 23rd of April, has been celebrated so enthusiastically in the region. But where does the association with books come from? Now, in 1931, El Día del Libro Español, a national holiday for Spanish writing and Spanish books, was moved from October to April the 23rd. They wanted a bit better weather in which to celebrate, and also in October is the time when families are buying books for their children. So they wanted to move it away from that because it didn't really help the market. So they moved it to 23rd of April, which happens to be, in 1616, the death day of Miguel de Cervantes, the most prolific Spanish-speaking writer of all time. And it also, by chance, happens to be the day that a certain William Shakespeare died. April 23rd, 1616, 2 of the greatest writers of history both died on exactly the same day. So, since then, Sant Jordi is celebrated in Catalonia by the sale of books. Indeed, in Catalonia, 5% of all books sold per year are sold on April 23rd. So the idea is you buy the one you love, a rose and a book.
I've heard it's like very divided in gender. Like the girl gets the rose, the guy gets the book. But I would prefer a book or both.
Apparently you can buy both. Yeah, it's maybe seen as more,
I don't know,
stereotypical to buy the lady a rose, but
it's a Catalan Valentine's Day.
Exactly, it's Catalan Valentine's Day. And I spoke to 2 of my Catalan colleagues yesterday to ask this, and they said, no, you can buy a rose and a book for your loved one. They don't have to be male or female.
Yeah, my grandma gave me Valentine's gifts when I was young.
Congrats.
Doesn't have to be a boy.
Doesn't have to be. Can be a grandma as well.
Yeah.
And in 1995, UNESCO made the 23rd of April the World Book Day for that reason.
Is it UNESCO thing?
And to summarise, this is the reason why Gaudi chose to represent St. George and the dragon so much in Torre Bellesguard. That's why the dragon occupies the roof. And that is also the reason, listeners, why we wanted to do this episode, to give you the chance to hear more about what I think is one of the underappreciated gems, certainly in Barcelona, possibly in Spain.
I like it. And I will go there, but I will not go there until I have this free audio that I will put in my ears
It will come
of
soon.
James.
For most of its life, Bellesguard was a place of private residency. During the Spanish Civil War, we have evidence to suggest that it was used by nuns as an orphanage, again, well after Gaudi's death in 1926. In 1944, Luis Guilherme Molas purchased the site and used it as a hospital for purposes of researching oncology and radiography during the time. It stayed that way for many, many decades. He was a former student of biology and medicine in Germany, but after his death, his eldest son inherited the site, where it was then used as a maternity hospital, but also as a private residence for the Guilherme family. But then, recognising its extraordinary position in the local culture of Barcelona, the Guilherme family opened it up for public visitation in September 2013, but in 2018, the house was purchased by the Catalan Occidente insurance group, who have made it a place that people can visit, considering it is an important cultural asset of Barcelona. That brings us to our final discussion topic now.
So I got task today to tell you about my hidden gem.
Yes,
in
I'd like to hear it.
Spain. I have been there, so I have real experience. And it is north from Barcelona in Costa Brava, and it's a toy museum.
I'm listening.
It is in Sant Feliu de Guíxols. Have you heard about it
I've never
before?
heard of that, no.
It's one of the,
In the Costa
I would
Brava?
say, the bigger cities of Costa Brava. Very random that I went there. I went there with someone I was dating at that time. He had a family summer house there.
Yep.
And he told me about this toy factory, and I thought, yes. I love weird things, creepy. I would think straight away this is going to be creepy and cool and everything nostalgic, I went on their webpage. They didn't really give me so much details about the place in itself, more about toy history in Barcelona. Okay. Are you ready?
I'm listening.
Okay. The golden age of the toy factories in Barcelona. No, I'm kidding. I'm not gonna talk like that. Okay. The golden age of the toy factories in Barcelona was from 1910 to the beginning of the Civil War, around 1936. Tin toys were starting to be produced in Barri de Gracia, so it was here in Barcelona.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super close.
Before, toys were made of wood, but after getting more access to steel, making it cheaper to produce it, it was possible to make tin toys that only the expanding middle class could afford.
Yep.
After the Civil War, Spain's economy was rebuilt, and the first toys from injected plastics were made by Paya Hermanos. In 1952, the first plastic toys in Spain was made, called Arre Caballito. Have you heard about that one?
I've not, no.
I have a picture, so you have to Google it, you guys. I'm saying it again. Arre Caballito. And it's a box that you get, apparently, with a little toy inside. That's like a plastic man with a hat, sombrero, and a horse and a carriage.
Yeah.
A cot.
Cot.
I feel like I've seen these things before,
It's
like
it's very
thin,
pretty,
delicate.
Yeah. I bet that's worth a fortune if you find one.
Exactly.
In your grandmother's attic, yeah.
Yeah. It's super cool. I even feel like I played with these type of very thin plastic materials. Yeah. So they implemented both plastic and tin pieces for this type of toy. I guess there were tin inside maybe, but the plastic is what you see. Yeah, and this became a revolution in the Spanish toy industry. After Franco's death, the borders opened to international import of toys, especially from Japan, while the toy factories in Spain slowly closed down. In 1984, the toy factory in Sant Feliu de Guíxols, which is now a museum, became a working collective. They found many of the molds of old toys there, and they were able to make reproductions of old toy models. In 2011, they finally closed down the factory and made it into a museum that now the EB City Council owns. Yeah, so...
2011?
Yeah.
That's very late now.
Yeah. Yeah, entry ticket, €6.
Pretty good.
It's worth it, you guys. 2 floors, very cool building, I would say. I remember the tiles being... It's a very pretty building. You have a little store that you enter when you come inside to buy the tickets, which has very... or some old wooden toys that you can buy. So I bought actually a bow and arrow for my nieces for Christmas. Like proper wooden, good, like craftsmanship toys.
Wow.
Yeah. Also, I wanted one for myself. You know what is this called? Like you have a wooden...
Catapult. Like Bart Simpson.
Yeah, and you can find
slingshot.
slingshot.
Yes.
Find stones or whatever, and hit people. I wanted one, for myself, but I didn't get one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll get one for Valentine's Day.
Yes.
Slingshot.
Yeah.
Go on, continue.
Yeah, basically what you see in the museum is just a bunch of different toys.
It covers the history of toy manufacture in modern Spain, but also it's a showcase and exhibition of the evolution of toys in the global market.
Yeah, well, I don't really remember reading too much about it. I just remember seeing the toys. I don't remember this information being there.
Okay.
But it's on the webpage. First floor, many dolls, like porcelain and plastic dolls, like creepy. And you saw most of them with white skin, and then some of them with black skin, like very few of them.
Right, yep.
Most of them creepy, I would say, like dolls are. And you have O-scale trains, which was also made here. So you see a lot of small miniature trains and stuff. And you had toys from the 90s that I remember. Pippi
Pippi Longstocking, yes.
Longstocking. I saw
Pippi Langstrumpf.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if it was imported or made there. I don't know. Smurfs.
Yes.
The blue
of course,
characters
yes.
with the white hats. And you had this like water... How do you call it? Like a water screen, and then you have two buttons down, and you push.
Oh yeah, you press to make air flow, and you have to get the ball
rings,
to go over. Yes,
over in the little.
Oh yes,
I saw that, and I was like, yes, I want it. And they have many old school Disney. I don't know what it was, like a Snow White puzzle and different Disney characters. Oh yeah, I just love this place. Oh, obviously, and they had this was cool. They had a big dragon sculpture. Like a huge piece, and it was taken from a previous Montjuic amusement park. So
I see.
Yeah, they had an amusement park in Montjuic, and then now they have it there in the museum. Very cool. I want to know more about that amusement park, actually.
About the dragon.
Yeah.
Now you know more.
And the funniest thing maybe is like they had a very low budget retro horror house haunted section. Mm-hmm. That you kind of had to be a certain,
age?
Age requirement, but you just go in there anyways.
Okay.
And it's like, spooky. And then you open different doors, and it's like, bricks, fake brick wall, And then you open another one.
What era was it made?
I have no idea.
1910 or something?
I don't know.
Open like one more. Oh, diphtheria.
Yeah.
Another one. Oh, no, tuberculosis in there.
But a bit creepy, but very charming, I would say. Maybe some kids would be scared of this, but it's not really scary. But it's very cute, exactly. No, it's a cute little thing to go to if you're in the area.
Fantastic. You've sold it very well. I'm very interested.
Yeah.
6 years entry. Can't go wrong with that,
Nope.
Fantastic. You mentioned the Smurfs. Again, on the topic of hidden gems in Spain. The town of Huáscar. All the buildings are painted blue. Now, for the Smurf film, going back, it would have been the 70s or 80s, I think, I don't know. They filmed the film in this town, Huáscar.
How is it written?
Juzzcar, Huáscar. You see it?
Yeah, but they're just normal buildings.
They're all blue. Yeah. So they painted all the buildings blue. And after filming was done, the townsfolk said, no, we quite like it, we're going to keep it. So since then, it's been their tradition to paint their houses blue.
And it's such a little group of houses.
Exactly. In the Andalusian hillside.
Cute.
I've not been, I would love to go one day.
Yeah. I mean, it's a bunch of just blue houses, but the fact that they were filming
the story behind it, exactly. And they call the mayor, the Papa Smurf, I think. The mayor.
Very good picture.
Yeah, I'm glad you think so.
Cool.
If I were to recommend two things that are less well known in Spain, one is an entire city, Vitoria, the capital of the Álava region in the Basque Country. It is a town that is phenomenally green, very beautiful, with wonderful architecture, beautiful early morning with a blue sky, but then you walk around some of the more residential areas at the top of the city. And everything is made of strong limestone or sandstone, something like this. And you walk around and you could swear you were in North Yorkshire on a bright sunny day. The smell of the verdant grass nearby, because it's a place of Spain that has more rainfall, and the sight of those, I don't know if it's limestone or sandstone buildings all around, you wouldn't think you were in Spain. You'd think you were in Pickering or Thornton-le-Dale, somewhere like that. Vitoria. Beautiful city.
I'm going in the area.
Then you should definitely spend a couple of days in Vitoria. It is fantastic. Very beautiful. And people just don't know the city very well, which is why I bring it up. If I were to mention an attraction that I think is underappreciated in Spain, it is the Casa de Pilatos in Sevilla. Now, everyone wants to go to the Alcázar, and for good reason. It is well and truly one of the greatest things to visit in Spain. But, again, it costs a little bit more. Entry times, you have to wait a long time on occasion. And the Casa de Pilatos is a good substitute if you're in a rush It is a mudéjar, private residential house, with an inside courtyard that has busts of the Roman emperors, some of which were recovered from the Italica Roman site not too far from Sevilla. And you've got Nero, you've got Trajan, you've got Hadrian, you've got all these Roman figures, and you've got marble, I think they're marble, statues of some of the Roman gods as well. It is absolutely stunning, the Casa de Pilatos.
It's too late. I've been to Seville already.
They need to go back.
Okay.
We good?
Yes.
Thank you for being here, Mystique, as always.
Thank you, James, for
The
being
pleasure-
yourself.
Pleasure's all mine.
If you can't love somebody else, how? No, okay, no.
You can't love somebody else. Come to Spain and you will find somebody who's worthy of your love.
Oh.
Guys, thank you very much for listening. This has been Hispanophiles, and we'll see you soon. Thank you. That was really good.